Now, there's a couple of things you want to speak about, right? There's a couple of things you want to speak about. Firstly, you need to look at two things. Look at the linesman and then you look at the VAR. The linesman. Let's start with the linesman. Is this kind of error a microcosm of a bigger problem that has stemmed from the introduction of VAR, and that is the standard of the officials at the top level are getting worse because they know they can use VAR as a crutch. Once you give people who hold a lot of power a crutch, they don't try to improve as much as they once did. They don't feel like their job is under that much scrutiny because they've always got VAR to back them up. So when they do make an error, and when VAR doesn't back them up, it's magnified tenfold. It cannot be that's unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. Forget about VAR. How the linesman can call that offside to begin with, when it was pretty clearly onside from the broadcast view, let alone the linesman's view, who was directly in line with the defender. I think that's an indictment on another issue that has stemmed from VAR, and we all know the other issues that have stemmed from VAR, arguably the more pressing ones, which I'll touch on soon. It's like it creates another kind of branch of discussion and another branch of errors and another branch of uncertainty surrounding football, which shouldn't be the case because at the top level, at the Premier League, you should have the best of the best in every way. You have the best players, best coaches, best stadiums, best broadcast, best officials, because it has the most money, it's the most popular, etc., etc. Right? It has arguably some of the biggest history if you're talking about the English football leagues, right? So, I don't get it. Like I just don't. I don't get it how the official from where he would have been can see that, unless there was a blind spot, unless something untoward happened in terms of, like, I don't know, something maybe obstructed his view or whatever. That is unacceptable for a linesman to make that decision. Forget about VAR. Forget about the fact that the goal didn't stand. The reason the goal didn't stand was because the referee called that offside. The linesman called that offside, and that is an error, and an error that has cost Liverpool a goal that would have put them 1-0 up, and 90 seconds later, Spurs go up the other end and score. What was it? 36th minute. Yeah. So the goal was on the 34th, and yeah, the goal was on the 34th goal. The Disler goes on the 34th and the Sun scores on the 36th. So Liverpool go from being 10 men down, 1-0 up inside the first half to being 10 men down, 1-0 down inside the space of inside the space of 90 seconds, which is puts Liverpool on the back foot, but also creates a completely unfortunate situation. Now, you look at this decision, and then you also look at the double yellow that was given to Diogo Jota. I don't think you can have much complaints about the straight red for Curtis Jones. I think he goes studs up, doesn't really get any of the ball. I think that's fair enough. When you look at the double yellow from Diogo Jota, the first one, is it a yellow? Really? Like, is it a bookable offence? You have to remember that. Is it a bookable offence? I think the second yellow is. I think the second yellow is fine. Is it enough to warrant a player getting sent off? I'm sure we can have that debate all night long. But I also think it's the right decision to give him a second yellow. Is the first Diogo Jota booking a booking? Probably not. Like, probably not. If I was the official in that stage, I probably would have not given it. But that once again goes back to the discussion point of the standard of officiating. Forget about VAR. The standard of officiating has gotten so much worse, it's not even funny. Every single week, there is a error with the VAR. There is the blatant error regarding a red card or a penalty or a double yellow or whatever. There is always a blatant error, and the officials are under so much more scrutiny because of VAR. Because VAR just is amplifies everything tenfold because it stops the game. It's this whole pomp and circumstance of fuck off, go to the screen and then come back upstairs, draw some lines, watch it from 56 different angles. So VAR naturally puts a lot more scrutiny on the referees because with VAR we speak about the referees a lot more. So that doesn't help them. They've also brought in rules which have the best interests of the referees at heart, i.e. the dissent rule and stuff like that, but it also can have the adverse effect where it's almost as if people have this point of view of there's no repercussions for the referees when they make a bad decision because the players can't remonstrate, the players can't argue, and that means the referee can make a decision and basically tell everyone to piss off and he can live in his bubble, right? Or his or her bubbles. Which, yes, I can agree to a certain extent, but also I think is not right. What you then look at is the whole situation about VAR. Now, I've spoken about this ad nauseum, absolutely ad nauseum, but I think it has to be spoken about again because every single time this happens, the conversation needs to happen. As much as it pains everyone, as much as it's really fucking annoying, because at the end of the day, we want to speak about how good Tottenham were or how resilient Liverpool were going down to 9 men away from home. We're not speaking about that because that's not the biggest story. The big story is the VAR. Now, you got to look at, and like I said, I'm probably going to go back on old points that I've made before, but you go back to the original reason as to why VAR was brought in. VAR was brought in to help alleviate human error, right? And to allow for far more consistent and correct decisions. Those were the two reasons why they were brought in, essentially. So, when you take a look at this incident, not only has it not relieved football of human error, this decision has added more human error onto this. Because not only was there human error with the linesman, and despite what I said before, humans make errors. It happens. The linesman got a call wrong. I don't know the history of that linesman. That linesman might have made 100 perfect decisions in a row, and then that was his one error. You get it, right? It's fine. It is what it is. You can live to forgive that because it's just it's a human error at the end of the day. However, and it's a human error made in a split-second decision that can't be reversed. The referee or the linesman can't put his flag up. Diaz goes through scores and then realises, oh shit, that was onside, I put his flag down. That can't happen. As soon as the flag goes up, it's offside. However, what the VAR is meant to do is to overturn that human error. How can the VAR possibly be put in a position where it adds human error? Because there's two instances now. As I dropped the pen. There's two instances now in the same error of human error, if that makes sense. The same wrong decision was made twice, both of which was human error. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And isn't there meant to be 3 people in the VAR room? How can not one of them just be like, hey, I think the on-field call was offside, just clarify that the goal should stand? It's not... Whether or not this is an error about how anal the VAR people have to be about their wording, whether they have to say check complete, whether they have to say on-field decision stands or whatever, and whether or not the rules and the governing bodies of the Prem or whatever don't allow for actual conversations to be had in the VAR room to be like, hey, just make sure that it's a goal. Whatever the on-field decision is, just it's a goal. Whether or not that conversation is allowed to take place, who knows? Whether or not it's almost an unwritten rule to go with the on-field decision if it can't be overturned. So similarly to how, I don't know, like a referee's call in a sense, it can't be overturned, so you go with the on-field decision, which whether or not that's an unwritten rule that happens to protect referees. But I just don't understand how 3 people in the VAR room, right? 3 people in the VAR room who are all meant to be accredited, are all meant to be trained officials, can all three of them are complicit in making this error. Because it wasn't it's not a adjudication. It's not a interpretation of a rule. It is black and white, onside or offside. Luis Diaz was onside. The play was not affected by the flag going up, so it's not like or by the flag going up or staying down. So it's not like John Joe Shelby's goal against Sheffield United a couple of seasons ago, where the Sheffield United players stopped and John Joe Shelby played on and scored. So the play wasn't affected by any decision or non-decision. So if the linesman just wasn't there, or if the offside rule didn't exist, the play would have continued as it did, if that makes sense. So you can't use that as an excuse. You can't use any... There's no real way for the Premier League to be in the corner of both the linesman and the VAR officials, because it is a blatant error. And it's a blatant error that probably didn't cost Liverpool 3 points, because I still think down to 10 men away from home, Spurs, with the way that they played this season, probably do come back and score at least one goal. So maybe the result doesn't change. But in the same vein, it probably might cost Liverpool a point, because we all know the butterfly effect of football. Liverpool score that goal, the sun doesn't go up the other end of the score. Liverpool probably go into half time 1-0 up, down to 10 men, granted, but probably go into half time 1-0 up. And then the flow-on effect from all of this probably means that Diogo Jota doesn't get injured, or doesn't get a red card, meaning they don't go down to 9, meaning etc. etc. Right? So it's all about the butterfly effect. Butterfly effect? Yeah, that's the kind of thing, isn't it? Pretty sure. So it's just like, I don't even know how to summarize this, but I think we have to go back to the overall decision or the overall point, I think, of every single time VAR makes a wrong call, and that is, has VAR made football better or worse? I'm strong in the argument that VAR is not a good thing for football. VAR is it adds a lot of, I don't know how to call it, because I need to fix the focus on the camera. I really need to get, just sidetracking, a new camera that has better autofocus. VAR adds a lot of, firstly, it takes away from the actual football, right? Which is probably the number one thing, right? That not a lot of people speak about, but VAR actually takes away from the game of football, right? Because it adds, it distracts people, it changes talking points, and it also literally takes time away from the game. Maybe this season is a little bit different because of the new stoppage time rules, but last season, seasons beyond, it would take 5 minutes for, across a game, 5 minutes of football could be wasted by VAR, by looking at VAR, right? So it actually takes away from football in a lot of ways. So that's obviously not a good thing. Secondly, it has objectively made discourse around football a lot worse, because, once again, with human error, if the referee makes a wrong decision, you speak about it for maybe after the game, a day after the game maybe, and then you forget about it, because at the end of the day, it was one decision that a human made in a split second decision that can't be overturned. Is what it is. It happens, right? But now with VAR, the expectation is that, you've got computers, you've got so much technology, you've got 57 different angles of everything, you've got these lines that are meant to be geometrically perfect. How are you making wrong decisions? Discourse gets worse, right? So, there's that. And I think the main point is that, has it improved football as a sport? As a sport at the highest level, has it improved football? And I just can't sit here and say that it has. I can't sit here and say that it has, because you turn around to me and say, the counterpoint to that would be, one point to this would be, how many wrong decisions are there by VAR? It actually hasn't improved anything, blah, 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 blah. And then the counterpoint to that would be, but you guys don't speak about all the good decisions VAR made, and no one really applauds it when they make a good decision, etc., right? And then my counter to that would be, okay, if you just get rid of VAR, improve your referees. Improve them. Make them better. train them, put time and money into their development to make them better, and make your rules as black and white as possible. Get rid of the grey area, get rid of the interpretation of a rule, because that's fucking bollocks. That's bullshit. When you're talking about interpretation of a rule, it's stupid. Make them as black and white as possible, and then we're going to get far less human error with no robots, and overall, the viewing experience is better, right? Because now, when Chelsea score a goal, or when anyone scores a goal, I've been conditioned. My first thought is, this will stand, right? No way this is getting ruled like offside, or there's no foul in the build-up or whatever, right? That's how I've been conditioned now. So it's ruined the purity of football for me. Unless it's obviously a blatant goal, then of course you full go for it, right? But every time there's a ball in behind, every time there's like a 50-50 tackle that our player wins, and then we go on to score and be like, is it going to be ruled back out for a foul? Every time it goes near someone's hand, I'm like, fuck, is it going to be a handball? It just has ruined the purity of football. Like you can speak about it, and I think this is the overall point. You can speak about all the little intricacies about VAR, whether or not how many wrong decisions has it made, how many correct decisions has it made, what's the impact, or what has been the impact of it for the viewing experience, for the players, for the officials, whatever. You can speak about all those little intricacies. At the crux of it and at the heart of it, has it improved or worsened the purity and the pure nature of competitive sport and competitive football? And it has completely ruined it, in my opinion. It has completely ruined it. From the viewing experiences, now the way fans have been conditioned to not really celebrate a goal until the opposition has kicked off, maybe a minute, 2 minutes later. Whether it's the really line ball decisions that are being made because it's a millimetre offside, or all these just stupid things that just don't allow for nuance in the game. Whether it's that, or like when you go back to it, like I said, the purity of football that the ball goes into the back of the net, no whistle, no flag, you just explode. It's a celebration. It's pure unbridled joy. Last minute winners, last minute equalisers, scoring a goal in the first 5 minutes in a North London derby, in a Merseyside derby, in a Manchester derby, whatever. Scoring a goal in FA Cup finals, League Cup finals, Champions League finals, or scoring a goal in the playoff final, or whatever, right? All these pure moments of football are now being slowly hacked away because of the implications of VAR. Both when we're talking about the ability to make correct decisions and the ability to look for something to disallow a goal for. They're the two issues. So in my opinion, it's been absolutely ruined. And it's been absolutely ruined. And I don't see our way back, because I don't think you can just scrap it. We're too far gone. We are too far gone to just scrap it and to just pretend that it's never existed. Right? Which is just my 2 cents. And also I think you got to look at the two kind of big implementations of technology in football in the last couple of years. Last couple will go 10. Goal line tech and VAR. Goal line tech, absolutely flawless. Goal line tech has made one mistake in, 8 years since it was introduced, and that mistake wasn't even because goal line tech was broken. It was because it just wasn't plugged in, which is not the fault of the technology itself. It's the fault of the people using the technology or handling the technology, right? Which I guess is human error, but then again, it's one mistake in 8 years. Apart from that, it's been flawless, right? Seamless, it's literally perfect. I mean, when you look at other technology that's introduced in football, the semi-automated offside thing, that was used at the World Cup. I'm pretty sure that's been used in other European competitions. Why has it not been used in the Premier League? For what? It's not like the Premier League have no money. The Premier League aren't going bankrupt. Why? It's just, I don't know. I really just, yeah, it's just fucked. It's just fucking, just is what it is. I can guarantee you, it's the 2nd of October right now. This podcast will come out on the 3rd of October. I'm gonna write this down on this piece of paper. I'm gonna guess what date should I write down for the next time we speak about VAR. I'm gonna go with the. Let me find a Monday. I'm gonna go with the 13th of November. That's not going to focus, but I've written down the 13th of November. That's not going to focus. 13th of November on this piece of paper. I'm going to put it right next to my camera, so I know that date. That's the next time I'm going to speak about VAR, guaranteed. If it's within a week either side of the 13th of November, I'll take it, because it's not going to be an issue that just happens once and then doesn't happen again for 6 months. It's a monthly thing at a minimum, sometimes even fortnightly. So I guess it is what it is. Let's move on.